Shalom. First and foremost, like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Ruach HaKodesh, Barak Dam. So, out here another week and pretty much at the beginning of a new month. And of course, like everything else though, we know that Christianity is at its end. And you can see that. It's been wounded by the word of this truth. The word of this truth has gotten out. And now that this understanding has gone out there, which we're the only ones to give the true understanding of it, they're finding out that, wait a minute, this lie under Christianity has been exposed. It's been exposed in every way possible that the Bible was written to the Hebrew Israelites, by the Hebrew Israelites, for the Hebrew Israelites. And yes, there are other nations mentioned in there, but they're getting the back heel of it, especially Esau, Edom, because Esau would be left for stubble. And so knowing that and knowing the reality of it, some people take it and others just in deniability, but once it's gotten there, man, like a wounded animal, man, what is a wounded animal going to do, as Brother Malcolm puts it, so very dangerous times to be out here, very dangerous times, but you got to have the Most High's protection when you go out and teach, because of course, what you're teaching, it differs with everything that's been taught. It destroys that lie that he came to save all people, but he came to save his people, because that's what world means, especially when dealing with John 3:16. And when you bring out the reality of that he so loved his people, that he gave his only begotten son, that his real name being Yahushai, came to save his people, well then that destroys everything else, because let's face it though, the world is not in unity and in love. In fact, they all despise each other, and Esau is the most despised out of all. You're seeing what's going on with Iran. Iran just came out with it that pretty much that the United States and its allies had everything to do with Saddam Hussein and the chemical attacks used against them, and created the insurrections and destroyed, killed many great people with those weapons that they gave to Saddam Hussein, which they used it as a means to go after Saddam Hussein later, because they didn't think that Saddam Hussein had killed enough, thus the invasion of Iraq, which they set Saddam up with the invasion of Kuwait, but they told Saddam that he could have Kuwait, in a back deal, the deals that you don't hear about, because the TV doesn't show you all the things that go on in the secret chambers, nor do they show you what's going on in the Bohemian Grove and all those other secret places, where these leaders and these pretty much, you could say, the Illuminati bastards hang out, with the Rothschilds, and then the big plans get made, such as the Bilderberg Group, and like everything else, though, all that's been exposed, Everybody knows that Esau, Edom, is behind all the terrorism that goes on in the world, that they create the terrorists, they supply the terrorists with weapons, and they defend the terrorists, which is the whole reason why the U.S. is in Syria now. Pretty much is to protect the terrorist groups. And everybody knows that they're looting Syria's oil. That the area that's run by the Syrian Democratic Forces, is pretty much where their oil is. So they are pretty much taking over their reserves. And that is because, of course, he's trying to save what little bit he thinks he has. Because, you see, the petrodollar is losing its weight. In fact, Iran has now begun trading again with its partners, despite the U.S. sanctions. Because, like everything else, though, Iran, ever since the Islamic Revolution of 1979, has been trading back and forth with its allies, and now it's gotten stronger. Because, of course, Russia backs Iran. And that is because of the fact that Iran, is not the aggressor here. They just stated the facts that Saddam Hussein was set up to go after them, and that all the chemical attacks that were done against Iran, the United States and its allies supported that and set him up to do that. Of course, because look at what's happened ever since they created ISIS and formed ISIS in Iraq and in Syria. More and more chemical attacks have been used, but then they try to say it's Bashar al-Assad, when Bashar al-Assad, under the 2013 agreement, had given up those weapons, had destroyed those weapons. And Bashar al-Assad said this, though, that sarin gas and all that, he says, I have bigger weapons than that, but fine, I'll destroy these, and under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, all those were destroyed. So the only ones that have those weapons are the terror groups that the United States supports with the Syrian Democratic Forces. And, all the other lies out there, have been exposed. That pretty much, though, that there is, though, God that loves everybody, that there's only the God of the Hebrew Israelites, and that's the one nation that he's dealing with. He ain't dealing with all them other nations, The only times he deals with them is when he puts a boot to their ass. And that's what's about to happen here. So like a wounded animal, like everything else, though, what do you do when you deal with a wounded animal, man? You let it die out, man. You don't go up to that wounded animal. It's kind of a funny story. I know someone who, actually by me, but my friend decided he wanted to go and try to pick up that wounded animal. I, by mistake, because of course, like everything else, caught in traffic and all that, I, by mistake, ran over a squirrel. Okay, so my friend decided, okay, I'm going to make sure that squirrel's okay. Can you pull over? So he gets out, he goes up and tries to pick up the squirrel, and the squirrel bites the shit out of him. Fucked him up, man, and he's bleeding like crazy, man. You don't pick up a wounded animal. I mean, anybody knows this, right? But it was just one of those things, though. But that's where Esau is. That's the state of mind that he's in. I mean, just look at the devastation that car fire alone had caused here, and look at everything that's happening, man. Esau ain't scared. He ain't scared to break into places. He'll break into anything, man, because he's got nothing left to lose now. He knows that. He knows he's about to die. He knows that this rulership's about to end. So what's he got to lose? So he's going to come at you with everything he has, which are his weapons, And the Most High, in the midst of this, during the Jacob's trouble and the mark of the beast and all those things happening during martial law, is going to intervene, and he's going to save his elect as he's destroying Esau, Edom, and those joined unto him. Because there's many partakers with Esau, Edom. So I'm just going to read out of Zechariah chapter 14. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity. Well, we know that Jerusalem was captured in 70 AD, so this is talking about pretty much, the people of Yasharahla. This is what's going to happen. So we know that, the city shall be taken and the houses rifled, because, we're in this city of indignation right now, the place that the Most High has indignation with. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city, pretty much, And that is, the Most High is going to destroy this place, because most of us are in the North Country. Thus saith the Lord, go forth and fight against those nations as he fought in the day of battle, So he's going to gather them in the valley of Yehoshaphat and going to fight them. I know it doesn't say that name here, but it says that in other chapters. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, on the east, and in the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west, and there shall be a great valley, and half the mountains shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee like as you fled from before the earthquake of the days of Uzziah, king of Judah, and the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. And who are the saints? Because the saints are a special people. They're not just Israelites, but they have to have the Israelite heritage. Now, man, this is his elect. So the saints shall rule with thee. And in that day, that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter it shall be. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one. And what is that name? Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. You know, not any of these other names that people like to call him by. No, they're going to find out real quick that he's a so-called black man, you know, because that image has been destroyed. We have definitely brought out the reality of who Caesar Borgia is, that and you got too many people talked about it, that that's not the image of the Most High, and that all these images, the iconoclasm, you know, they changed the images. You know, everybody knows that now. You know, so it's no longer a secret. So there's no secret places. Hell, the word Illuminati, the secret society, that's not a secret anymore. Everybody knows what the word Illuminati is. Everybody knows who the Illuminati are. Bankers, the Rothschilds. You say that name Illuminati, what's the first name that comes up that you think of? Rothschild. You know, so everybody knows that the Rothschild in the corporations is the one that's running the whole world. You know, there's only one family, one elite family that's really ruling the world. The Rothschilds, and those joined unto the Rothschilds. You know, and they all have their secret hideaway, but it's not so secret anymore. Everybody knows about it. You know, so like everything else, though, you know, your common Edomite and all that, a wounded animal. He's out there in the woods, man, and what do you think he's going to do to you, man? You know, you come up on him. Nah, man, you still got to keep your Clark Kent, and like everything else, though, because you are dealing with a wounded animal, you know what's about to happen. That's why Jacob's troubles is around the corner. He's going to come in with a martial law. He's going to try to get everybody to submit to him by forcing that chip on him. That is the banking families, the Rothschilds. And so to not be caught up in it, man, you got to make sure the Most High is on your side. And the only way you can make sure you can be reassured that the Most High is dealing with you and that he's on your side is by going out and proclaiming this truth, having the 100% truth, proclaiming this and living it, you know, because we are to be of those living waters, you know, and we want to always pray that the Rakal Kadash is dealing with us, you know, because if we lose the Rakal Kadash, man, we're fucked. We're just waiting judgment, just like the wounded animals I just spoke of. So I hope all this has been edifying, and until next time, Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash, Wa Abal Babal, Brakatham, the hopeful elect. Shalom.